The one best thing you can do to keep African cichlid aggression down in your tank. If you already have these guys, then you know that they can be extremely unpredictable, volatile, irritable, and sometimes downright demonic. But I have this one thing that I've been doing that I think can help you get that level of peace in your African cichlid peacock and hap tank that you've been looking for. So listen up. First, let me go over a few things that you need to be aware of that'll help you out. Some general rules that'll set you up for success. I'm going to touch a bit on these ideas before we hit the main thing that I've had success with, that one thing that's the most important thing I've ever done in reducing the aggression in Alcatraz, my 8-foot long peacock and hap tank. So I get a lot of comments telling me to escape Alcatraz, and for God's sake, add some plants, man. You probably have African cichlids, so we can have a little chuckle together on that one. Oh, ye of such simple minds. You don't want to escape a peacock and hap tank too heavily, but you can definitely try to add plants to your tank, only if you realize you're pretty much just setting up a very expensive buffet for them, because these nut jobs love plants, love to eat them. Hey, by the way, stop what you're doing and hit the like button right now. You're going to like this video, so just do it. But if you're dead set on adding plants to your tank, try some less appetizing ones like Java Fern and Anubias. There have been some reports on the outer skirts of reality that this has actually worked, so you're welcome to try. But I'll laugh at you behind your back. So easy to laugh at you. Check out my boy Ferk the second. He's still growing up. Right now he's coming in at about 9 inches or so, and he should finish up around a foot long. If you have a really big tank and you want a very affable and all-around good boy for your hap tank, these guys are number one in my book. Maybe not the most stunning visually, but they have that innocence about them. Makes them cute. Cost about $150 when I bought him, so he better be pretty cool. But you can probably get him for less if you get a smaller one. Anyway, you don't want to put too much in there, like rocks, fake plants, driftwood, whatever. These guys are like early pioneers seeking personal property. They'll claim anything that catches their eye and defend it to the death. Less is more with peacocks and haps. Some people even have nothing in their tanks but sand and these fish. But it might be a good idea to have at least something to create a break in the line of sight in the tank, or some hides occasionally for anyone feeling the heat from a psychotic inmate who wants them dead. Stay alive, little friends. A few other easy ones you can try include keeping the temp down a bit toward the lower end of acceptable for these guys, which is right around 77 or 78 degrees. The warmer it is in your prison tank, the more tempers can flare. My Inkbird heater controller allows the heaters to heat the tank up to 78, and then it cuts the power off to them until it drops to 77, and then it turns them on again. So right around 78 degrees seems to be the sweet spot for me, and I think it's helped since I've been doing this. I used to feed once per day around 5 p.m. But long ago, a viewer left a comment that feeding more often helps to lower aggression a bit. So I, never being stuck in my ways for no good reason, decided to give it a try. I mean, why not? It makes sense that it might work. So I split my feedings into 2 smaller amounts, and I did one first thing in the morning and the other around 5 o'clock p.m. I do think it helped. I know they're fish, and we're usually not fish, but how would you act around others if you only ate once per day? You might be perceived as a little cranky, I'll bet. And these guys are probably the same way. Feed them once a day and they're probably all hungry and being irritable. So that's something you can try. By the way, it's really easy to get so set in your ways that you start to take almost like a hubris in your routine. You can get to the point where your way is the only way, and you won't even be able to take others' opinions into consideration, like I did with the feeding thing. You love your ways and just try to push your opinions on everyone else. Well, if you're one of those people, then stop it. You don't know everything, no one does. So listen to others with an open mind and you might learn something. And here's a secret for you, other people might like you more. I'm just saying, man. It might only be a tiny bit more, but hey, at least that's something. You know, as far as the feeding goes, I should actually eat more like my fish. Their diet is so healthy with all that Northfin cichlid food I feed them, plus some frozen shrimp now and then and some blanched zucchini. I usually promise to make another video for the next week after I release one, but I'm being really vulnerable here. I've been on a McDonald's bender for about 2 months. Yeah, self-control, I know. So I might be dead before the week's out.
Subscribe or someone dies.
Might be me.
Ding ding.
Here's a really good one. Use wave makers to stir things up. These inmates don't have a lot to think about all day long, so you gotta give them something to think about. Put some wave makers in there and it'll create a nice current in the yard that'll have them fighting against that instead of hopefully fighting against each other. Keep them busy. Put one at the top of the tank on the filtered intake side, and the other on the lower end on the other side shooting back towards that intake. It creates that loop current that'll eradicate boredom from the inside of the aquarium, plus it'll push most of the detritus towards the intake, which in my case has virtually eliminated the need for me to do gravel vacs at all in Alcatraz. I didn't come up with this idea either, but I'm happy to spread it around so you can at least give it a try as well. Before I get to the main thing, the reason why you're watching this video on how to keep African cichlid aggression down in your tank, let me just say that I've had a few comments from people saying, this guy calls himself an expert. Everything he said in this video is completely wrong.
And he's going to hell.
Well, I can tell you that I actually never claimed to be an expert. I'm just an experienced fish keeper. I've had African cichlids for about 6 years now, and I recently got into American cichlids about 1.5 years ago. Before that, I've had fish tanks for decades since I was a little kid, off and on. I've had a lot of ups and downs, and I want to share those with you to make you a better fish keeper, and then you in return can leave a comment telling me things that you've learned that'll help make me a better fish keeper. So now that I've said that, let me get to that one thing that I've learned about how to keep African cichlids that'll help you out tremendously. Somewhere around 1 year ago, I bought some new peacocks and haps for Alcatraz from a new breeder from Florida. Well, new to me, he's actually been around a while. I got in contact with him and I asked him a few questions. You may remember some of this from a video I made around 10 months ago, but I'll remind you. The one thing I found very promising about this guy was how he said he used selective breeding with his cichlids. What that means is that he breeds not only for beauty, but for personality. He chooses the best looking ones, but if they have a mean streak, they're done. No, I don't mean he kills them, but they're done making babies. He only breeds the more laid back cichlids, which he says helps his fish to have a more peaceful nature than lots of other cichlids of the same species have. Pretty freaking cool, right? I asked him about his stocking options and he gave me a list. I didn't see some of the more violent ones on the list like the venustus and the eye biter, so I asked about it. And plain and simple, he doesn't breed the ones that have a super aggressive demeanor, fish highly bent towards the dark side. Someone else can breed those. No, he breeds the ones that are more suited for life in an aquarium. But even those can get nasty sometimes. So like I said, he only chooses the mellow dudes that can generally handle life without becoming psychopaths as they mature. This is my deepwater hap, which I actually wasn't that excited about at first. I always thought they were kind of okay, but not that special. But this one isn't even colored up as they can get, and I still think he's beautiful. And he loves the camera, so he gets a few stars for that alone. Well, as you probably know, most African cichlids start out with good behavior, and then they start to lose it as they grow out. Okay, well with what this guy's told me, I'm in, I thought. I placed the order, he shipped them, they arrived, and I waited for them to grow. They'd either get crazy like I was used to and kind of expected still, especially with peacocks, or what I was told about these guys would come true in Alcatraz. They'd maintain their good behavior. Since it's been about 1 year, I'm going to give you an update and tell you what I think. You're wondering who this breeder is, aren't you? And I'm going to tell you in a minute. When these fish arrived, they were gorgeous. Even though they were on the smaller side when they typically don't have their full coloration yet, I'd seen photos of the exact fish he was sending me, but they weren't even close to how beautiful they were in person. And that was after they'd been stuck in bags and shipped overnight across the country in the winter, all the way over to Idaho from Florida. I was impressed. After being in my 55 for a while, I unloaded them into Alcatraz, their final abode. And then I waited. Check out this beautiful Benga sunshine. Along with my Turkish peacock, both from the breeder that I'm telling you about. They're so incredibly full of color, like God painted him himself. Well, I actually suppose he did. Before I tell you what happened with the aggression levels, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's supported this channel by becoming members. You get some perks like being able to see videos early, but I know most of you do it because you want to help out, and I just thank you so much. If you would also like to be a member, then just hit the join button right below this video, or hit the link that's in the top pinned comment as well. Or send me some McDonald's gift cards. Just kidding. Okay, so I waited for something bad to happen, some attitude to show up, or someone gets hurt. Even the more mild peacocks weren't worth the risk aggression-wise with me because of my past experience with peacocks. Way too aggressive for my taste. Not worth it at all. But like I said, it's been a long time and there's still angelic beings in my sweet little prison tank. No real aggression at all to complain about. And this is the main thing, the one thing I was talking about. It's not really a trick, it's playing it smart. Stock your tank with the types of fish you think can get along, or at least fairly well. And then the most important part, choose fish that have been selectively bred, not only for their appearance, but for their behavior. There are so many beautiful cichlids out there that have terrible behaviors, and you don't really want those in your tank because they're just going to cause a lot of anxiety and stress for the fish and you. Is it always going to work? Well, probably not. I don't know. Nothing's perfect. But my experience has been wonderful so far. So do all the things I mentioned in the first half of this video. That'll set you up for a good baseline in your tank. And then stock it with intelligently bred cichlids that have a much better chance of keeping the peace in your own African cichlid prison.
I said I'd tell you. The breeder's name that I've been talking about is Andre Petrie, and his link is in the video description. Until next time, that's going to be a wrap.